Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Datastream. This will be Part 32, Chapter 32. Sir, I know he's just 16, but he's really smart. And he's got his intelligence hero license, just like you. I'm sure he could help you with this case, Tokuda exclaimed, trying to convince Mirai to contact Datastream for assistance. Mirio, I'm not having this discussion with you. He's too young to be able to assist with this case. Mirai gave Mirio a hard look. End of discussion. With a sigh, Mirio said fine and left his office. Mirai rubbed his eyes behind his glasses and looked back at his computer. He needed to learn more about the 8 bullets that worked for the Shia Hisaikai. So far, all he knew was their names, but nothing about their quirks. He had been scanning through the quirk registry trying to find them, and all their files had been corrupted, not giving him any usable information. He hated to admit it, but Datastream would be able to find this information as easily as one could breathe. But Mirai refused to get shown up by some kid. He was going to figure this out if it killed him. Zu, do you know any of the current cases Night Eye is working on by chance? Shouta asked. He was lazing on the couch, leaning up against Hizashi with coffee on his lap as he was checking his emails. Izuku looked up from where he was reading a book to his new little sister Eri and said, No, I'm too busy working cases from other heroes to snoop around and try to find more work, Izuku shrugged. I currently have over 50 requests I'm being asked to look at, but I've only committed to 4 right now. Night Eye sent in a team-up request for one of his latest cases, and if I accept, I'll have to bring along Shinso and Monoma. Can you look to see what his current active cases are? I don't want to accept if I'll be putting those 2 in unnecessary danger. Hold, please, Izuku quipped as he let his eyes glaze over. What's he doing? Eri asked nervously, seeing the life in Izuku's eyes go out. Hizashi answered, Izuku's quirk is mental, princess. When he uses his quirk, his mind can leave his body, like now, but he's perfectly okay. And he only does this when he knows he's safe, so there's no reason for anyone to worry. Okay, she whispered. Seconds later, Izuku's eyes lit up again. Oh, this is funny. The main case he's working on is the Shia Hisaikai case, Izuku hugged Eri. The guys who were so mean to you. They were already being investigated by Sir Night Eye. He's been wanting to arrest Chisaki for a while. Izuku giggled and looked back at Shouta. I don't think he knows he's dead. He'll probably want to go after the rest of their group once he does learn about Chisaki's demise, Shouta thought for a moment. Unless you have any concerns, I'll let Night Eye know I'll be accepting his request with my students. Sure thing, Uncle. Oh, can I tag along, though? It seems he doesn't have a lot of information yet, and I don't want you to run into their hideout with no information on who will be there. Shouta nodded. We can call it a day off from the other cases you've been working on, and I'm sure the other heroes he'll have called in for the team-up will be excited to meet you. Oh, that's right. I haven't met a lot of the other heroes in person. I know Fatgum and Rocklock both got invites to Night Eye's case, and so did Ryuku. Izuku grinned, and then turned back to Eri. Let's finish up this book, okay? Eri nodded. Izuku walked into the Night Eye agency with his uncle Hitoshi and Nato with a grin. He was looking forward to working with Night Eye, as he was one of the very few heroes who had been able to follow along with his tangents on cases. Not to mention, Izuku had been helping him on cases since he was 12. Uncle, Papa, and Nezu were his top 3 favorite heroes, but Night Eye was pretty high up on the list, too. He had always treated Izuku as an equal, never commenting on how the cases might be too gruesome for a kid. That was one of the things he liked most about Night Eye, actually. He never treated him like a kid. Even Uncle and Papa treated him like a kid when they first started working together, before they realized just how competent he was. Uncle and Papa still treat him like a kid, but only when it comes to things unrelated to his work as Datastream, such as making sure he eats right, gets enough sleep, things like that. And Izuku's more than okay with that. He is, after all, their kid, and their job is to take care of him. As the 4 of them entered the conference room, Izuku looked around. There were a few heroes in the room, along with some of the other students from UA. Kirishima, Amajiki, and Yayorozu were standing with Fatgum. Uraraka, Asui, and Hato were standing with Ryuku, and then Rocklock was standing near the corner of the room, just watching everyone. Izuku walked right up to Fatgum. Hey, it's great to meet you in person. I'm Datastream. Fatgum grinned widely and pulled Izuku into a hug. Data! Super great to meet you in person. I'm a huge fan of all the hard work you've been doing. Laughing, Izuku blushed a bit. It's not really all that hard for me. Honestly, I've found if I go too long without working on something, I can get a bit slow, so I try to keep a project at all times. I see. Well, you've still helped out a lot these past few years. Indeed, it is quite an honor to meet you, Ryuko said, as she walked over to join them. Although I've never worked with you previously, I've heard only good things about you. I look forward to working with you. Same here, and I must say, Ryuko-san, I love your quirk. It's so awesome, Izuku exclaimed with his sunshine smile, and he heard Hitoshi and Nato complaining about how bright he was. So you're Datastream, huh? Rocklock said, also joining the group. Never thought I'd see the day you decide to join us mere mortals in person. It's my day off. I had to do something, and tagging along to bother a bunch of heroes planning a raid seemed like just my idea of fun. Izuku giggled. Rocklock snorted. Let me guess. You're here to make sure nothing was missed and to provide it if it was. Rubbing the back of his head, Izuku giggled again. Guilty. But hey, if my uncle is going on a raid, I want to make sure you all have all the information needed. I already had one scare with him this year. I don't want another. Uncle? Fat Gum asked. Oh, right. You all only know me as Datastream. My name is Aizawa Izuku. Eraserhead is my uncle. As one, all of the heroes in the room turned to Uncle. He's even more of a chaos gremlin at home, Uncle muttered. And he's currently Nezu's personal student, so just imagine the nightmares I have from that. Before any more conversation could be had, Sir Night-Eye entered the room with Mirio and his two sidekicks, Bubble Girl and Centipeter. Thank you all for coming. I know the pros, but can you please introduce the students? Fat Gum went first. This here's Sun Eater, Red Riot, and Creati, as he pointed to each one. Ryuko went next. Froppy, Aravity, and Nijiri-chan. This is Siren, Uncle gestured to Hitoshi. And this is Phantom Thief, gesturing to Nato. Both boys nodded greetings. When Uncle didn't move to introduce Izuku, Night-Eye asked. And him? Hi, nice to meet you in person. I'm Datastream. Izuku was a little confused when Night-Eye blanched and then seemed to close down. I don't remember asking your aid, he said coolly. Izuku blinked at him. No, but you did request my uncle's aid, and... Night-Eye interrupted him. But not yours. Oops. Izuku heard Hitoshi whisper to Nato and saw Nato nodding sagely. Are you refusing my help? Izuku asked. Yes. This raid is an invite-only mission, and you were not invited. Please leave. Night-Eye sneered at Izuku. You've never had any issues with my inviting myself to your raids and cases before. Why start now? I didn't know you were a literal child before. Now I do. Izuku closed his eyes and took a deep breath. That hurt. He had always thought that Night-Eye respected his work enough to disregard the fact he was a kid, not that he had clearly ignored the bit of information that was readily available to any hero who looked him up. After all, Uncle had let everyone know, when he had first met him 5 years ago, before he even knew that they were related, that he was only 11. Fine. If Night-Eye wanted to play like this, Izuku could play. Your case is missing a lot of details, Izuku stated. And if you won't accept my assistance, then I'm not letting my uncle or his students on this case. I don't think that's your call to make, Night-Eye said, adjusting his glasses. Let's see if you're right, shall we? Turning to his uncle, Izuku asked. If I said not to take this case, would you head home now? Grinning his scariest grin, Uncle answered. Since I asked your opinion on if I should even bother coming along in the first place, yes. I would take my students and go home. Uncle looked at the other students in the room. Also, since I'm their teacher, I'll pull all of my students, not just these two. I won't risk the safety of my students because you don't want to accept help from Datastream to obtain complete information. Fat Gum raised his hand. Yeah, count me out too, I'm sure I could manage with some incomplete information, but I really don't want to get on Datastream's bad side. Ryuko and Rocklock nodded their agreement. 5 of the 7 students in the room were all looking at Izuku's serene smile with more than a little fear. Hitoshi and Nato, having already known the power their green overlord wielded, were both smirking. What do you say, Night-Eye? Are you going to accept the assistance, or are you going to get a completely new team put together? Looking around the room at everyone willing to just leave, Night-Eye pushed his glasses up and rubbed at his eyes. It seems I don't have much of a choice, do I? Nope. Now let's get started, shall we? Izuku pulled out a chair and sat down. Bubble Girl, do you mind if I take over the presentation? He asked sweetly. She looked to Night-Eye for permission and then nodded. Sure. Great. Gesturing to the screen that had just turned on, Izuku got started. So, First of all, Chisaki Kai, also known as Overhaul, was killed last week, so we aren't— What do you mean he was killed? How? By who? Night-Eye demanded. Oh, by a former vigilante. Don't worry, he's gone straight now, and he's like 12, so he's just going to be continuing with school and then most likely join a hero school when he's old enough. Don't worry about him, Izuku dismissed. The important part is, Chisaki is not going to be a problem. He did, however, have a large group of followers in the Yakuza, including what were referred to as the 8 Bullets. Stupid name, since there's actually like 9 of them you need to worry about, but whatever, Izuku said. Can I ask you something? Ryuko interjected. After getting a nod from Izuku, she continued. I know you said Chisaki is dead, but can you explain just how he died? Oh, funny story. He had a little girl with him that he claimed was his daughter, but she wasn't. The girl managed to escape, and while she was running, she ran into this vigilante. Now, he is very familiar with child abuse, so when he saw Chisaki and the girl's reaction to him, he decided that he wouldn't let her go back to him. Chisaki followed him into an alleyway, hoping to kill him, but totally underestimated his opponent. Long story short, he's 12 now, the girl is my new sister, and an abuser became Barbecue. Ryuko nodded. Okay, I suppose that works. Yup. Now, who wants to read about the remaining higher-ranking members of the Shiha Saikai? The screen showed the names, quirks, and pictures of the members of the Shiha Saikai. 8 Bullets. Namoto Shin. Confession. Allows him to force his victim to answer truthfully after he asks them a question. Katsukame Rikia. Vitality stealing. Allows him to siphon away other people's stamina by inhaling their strength away from them. He can use the stolen stamina to greatly increase his own size and strength. In order to use his quirk, Rikia needs to be touching the target. Setsuno Toya. Larceny. Allows him to instantly relocate an object from someone else's possession into his own hands. He needs to be able to see his target, and there is a limit to the size of what he can steal. Hojo Yu. Crystallize. Grants him the ability to produce sharp, durable crystals from his skin. This is effective for both close-ranged offense and defense. He can also grow his crystals into the form of a sword around his arm. Tabe Soromitsu. Food. Allows his teeth to easily chew through and consume any solid substance, no matter how durable. His stomach is able to quickly digest whatever abnormal substances he has eaten with no trouble. Rappa Kendo. Strong arm. Allows him to rotate his shoulders at extreme speeds, allowing him to attack his targets with a near-endless barrage of bullet punches. His quirk can only stay active for a few seconds at a time, but this is all the time Kendo needs to wear down his opponents. Tengai Hikiji. Barrier. Allows him to materialize an extremely durable dome-shaped force field around himself. The strength of the force field has been compared to that of a steel wall. Sakaki Dataro. Sloshed. Allows him to subject nearby people to severe dizziness and inhibit their sense of balance, putting them in a state similar to being drunk. Iranaka Joy. Mimicry. Allows him to merge his body and mind into an object, granting him full control over the object as if it were his own body. Joy can only use this power on objects the size of a refrigerator or smaller. Any questions? Just one, Night-Eye said. How long did it take you to find all this? Well, I had to format it to look pretty, so that took some time, so I'd say about 3 minutes. Why? Night-Eye just rubbed at his temples, trying to stave off the headache that was developing. Izuku knew the raid was going to go smoothly. After all, Uncle Shouta was there, and everyone had good, accurate, and complete information. And every single one of those heroes aside from Night-Eye knew they could call him if shit went south. So instead, Izuku decided he was going to spend the day with with Toya. It's 8:30 in the morning on a Tuesday. Shouldn't you be in school? Toya asked grumpily. My school schedule is more fluid than the average kid's, Izuku admitted. After all, I graduated high school already, and I'm taking university courses. I'm a licensed court counselor and a licensed intelligence hero. School is pretty much just socialization for me at this point. Toya just stared at him. Great, and I'm stuck with you since my brother is dating you. Izuku laughed at him. Yeah, you are stuck with me. I'm never letting my starlight go, but on the plus side of being stuck with me, you get access to my court counseling for free. Toya looked at his currently scar-free arms and smiled. I really would like to learn how to use my flames without burning myself. Izuku grinned. That's the plan. So, here's what I know for certain. Your mom's quirk is ice, and your dumpster fire's quirk is fire. Toya snickered at the way Izuku referred to Endeavor. Your sister's pretty immune to fire, while Natsuo has a quirk similar to your mom, right? Yeah, Toya confirmed. Natsuo's is a little stronger than Mom's, though, and you know everything there is to know about Shouto's quirk. Izuku blushed, very slightly. My thoughts are along the line of how you weren't trained properly, Izuku said, ignoring Toya's smirk. It's not surprising that the flaming shit stain can't teach, to be honest, and I doubt you ever had real quirk counseling. He probably thought that since it's the same quirk he has, he knows everything there is to know about it. It's not the same quirk, though, Izuku continued. You quite clearly have a weakness to your own quirk, which I've really only heard of happening to those who were using their quirks wrong. So here's what we're going to do. I want to see how cold you can get your fire. I already know you can make your fire around 3,000 degrees, but I'm not trying to get you to hurt yourself here. I want to see the lowest temperature flames you can make. Can you get out of the blue spectrum? Can you get into the yellow or orange range? Toya looked at his hands thoughtfully. I could, at one point. Not sure if I can anymore, though. My flames were originally red, but then Endeavor kept pushing me to go hotter and hotter. I was at yellow flames when Shouto was born, and I was pushing into the blue range by the time his quirk manifested. Okay, well, we want the red flames back. Since your quirk was initially cool, that leads me to think that your quirk should be a cold fire, not a hot fire. My current working theory is that your flames can become as cold as ice. Izuku grinned at him. Want to test this out? Toya's eyes were huge as he nodded. I get a second chance to keep my good looks, you can be sure I'm not going to waste it. All right, listeners. This concludes Chapter 32 of Datastream. The last and final chapter, Chapter 33, will be up next. I hope you all are still enjoying everything, and as always, thank you so much for listening.